We gonna protect Yahawah, man. We gonna stand up for the Lord, man. We on the Lord's side, man. If you coming against the Lord, you will get put to death. Thus saith the Lord, man.
Shalom, Halal, Yahawah, Yahawashi, Qadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about remembering Eleazar, who was crushed by an elephant, and WFI's foolhardy antics. But let's read this first. This is 2 Corinthians 6:3. Give no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. So what we have just watched is two videos, one captured by the Palestinian protesters who were out on the streets protesting for the events going on right now in Gaza, and how they came across the WFI camp, and how, we don't get to see how it started, but we get to see a full-on brawl going on between the WFI Hebrew Israelites and the Palestinian protesters. Now, this should never have happened, and WFI and any Hebrew Israelite should not be involved in any of the protests going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And that's because this is not our fight. We are not meant to meddle in these political events going on that are being orchestrated by the elites and, moreover, the Lord. You see, one, like I just read, by being involved in these, you could get the entire movement blamed. Now you have the Palestinians, or these Arabs out there, thinking that we're with the Israelis, right? Amalek, right? Because why? Because they see the menorahs, they see the Star of David, which we shouldn't even be wearing Star of Davids. That's not even our symbol. That's Amalek's sign. That's these Israeli sign that goes all the way back when they were Khazarians. Okay, they do the exact same thing with Islam, right? They created the shield of Ishmael, and it's the same damn freaking star, So any Hebrew Israelite that's still wearing a Star of David, man, you need to let that shit go, because again, what you're doing is you're tying yourself and this movement to those Israelis, and this has nothing to do with them. Well, like I said, right, the Palestinians are out there, the Arabs out there protesting. They see, what they see as black people wearing Israeli Jewish symbols, and they think that you're pro-Israel. So of course they're going to be up in arms and upset, right? And then you have, these foolhardy young Israelite camps, because that's what WFI is. They're the new guys on the block, right? For the most part. Yeah, there's a lot of great teachers in that camp, but for the most part, the leaders of that group are young and immature and inexperienced. And if you ask me, I just don't trust the leadership. And why is that? Well, because this is the same group that took 5 hours to try to explain what the mark of the beast was, and all they did was spew out a bunch of hyperbole and distraction and never plainly explain what the mark of the beast is. For me, that's agent activity. So as for me, I wouldn't be involved with WFI. I'd much rather go at this alone and simply follow the righteous men. Now that being said, let's go ahead and look to the Bible for an historic record of something that happened that was very similar. And for this, we got to go to the first Maccabees, chapter 6, when it talks about a battle that went on where a young Israelite, I think the second youngest brother of Judas Maccabeus, Eleazar, was foolhardy and wanted to be brave and wanted to make a name for himself. And he eventually ended up attacking an elephant against the orders of his brother and against the orders of the leadership, and it ultimately cost him his life. But let's go and read that so we can go ahead and study this and see what similarities we can gather. This is First Maccabees chapter 6 verse 41. Wherefore all that heard the noise of their multitude and the marching of the company and the rattling of the harness were moved, for the army was very great and mighty. Now this here is talking about this army that came up against the Maccabean brothers. Now they eventually would go on to lose this fight because this was a large host that came up against the Maccabean brothers and the host of Israel at this time. Verse 42. Then Judas and his host drew near and entered into battle, and there were slain of the king's army 600 men. Eleazar also, surnamed Savaran, perceiving that one of the beasts armed with the royal harness was higher than all the rest, and supposing that the king was upon him, put himself in jeopardy, to the end he might deliver his people and get him a perpetual name. Wherefore he ran upon him courageously through the midst of the battle, slaying on the right hand and on the left, so that they were divided from him on both sides. Which done, he crept under the elephant and thrust him under and slew him, whereupon the elephant fell down upon him, and there he died. So you see, though the intentions and the motivations of Eleazar were heroic and well-meaning, it was ill-advised and bad timing. When you read the Maccabees, you find out that that courageous family, which was the de facto leadership for the nation of Israel at that time, the time when we had no kings and we were under siege by the Greek army, that the Maccabean brothers, and the family for that matter, the Hasmonean dynasty, that they unfortunately met wicked ends by the hand of our enemies. And a lot of it could have been avoided if certain things had played out differently. And we just read one example of events that could have played out differently had Eleazar heeded the commands of his brother and also stayed the course and not attack or go after self-glory. Because, like I said, though it may have been a heroic gesture, it ultimately came to naught. And just like Eleazar, who ended up being crushed and judged for his actions, the men of WF5 and any other Hebrew Israelite who puts himself in danger by throwing themselves headlong into heated political protest or break out in brawls, you're doing the same thing that Eleazar did. You're thrusting yourself underneath a giant elephant. And that's the thing about the WF5. They're the new kids on the block. And because of that, there's a large number of younger Israelites in this group. You don't see that many older Israelites, and hence you tend to get a lot more of the theatrics, the showboating, the foolhardiness. Let's get that definition real quick. Foolhardy, reckless, bold, or rash. Okay? Antics, foolish, outrageous, or amusing behavior. All that going to these events, putting on a show, talking about if you come up against the Lord's going to put you to death. So says the Lord. Yes, this is true. But to try to, scream this through a microphone in a large crowd where you're outnumbered, you're not doing it for ourselves. You're doing it for vainglory. You're doing it to get a name for yourself, just like Eleazar did when he sought glory by killing that elephant. You see, what came of what you did, right? You didn't awaken another Israelite. You didn't bring anybody closer to the truth. What you've done is you brought a bad name upon the Hebrew Israelites, right? You made us look like we're part of the pro-Israeli movement when we're definitely not for either side. Both of those groups of people over there in the land of Israel, the so-called Jews, the Israelis, and the Palestinians, are heathens. We're not for none of those people, and we don't side with any of them. We are for ourselves and for the will of the Lord and for prophecy. That's who we side with. So again, the leadership of that camp should be ashamed of themselves, and they should ultimately apologize not only to the men that they took out there and put in harm's way, but also to the body. And I'm talking first and foremost to Apostle Tahar, the other apostles, the elders of all the camps. Because again, though you may be in WFI, IUIC, GMS, Sakari, we're all one body. Okay? Who knows? Each camp may be a different church. But the point being is that we're all Israelites. And we got to move with wisdom, Akim. We can't be involved in any of this political rhetoric that's being pushed. You see, the leadership should have known that that protest was going on and positioned itself down the street, if anything, if they needed to be close by to maybe catch a few wayward Israelites wanting to join in on those protests. But to put yourself right in the middle of it, that was a foolish move. A foolhardy antic, right? To do what? To get fame, glory, views, and likes. In the video itself, you even see a little thumbs up icon coming up talking about like. Because why? Because they're about getting the numbers. And why is that? Well, like I said before, man, it is very suspicious that they took 5 hours to not answer what the mark of the beast was. And now they got all this logoized apparel. Okay, you gotta be careful with logo Israelite groups. This is Ecclesiasticus 11:9. Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not, and sit not in the judgment with sinners. So you see, we are not to be meddling in events that do not pertain to us, Akim. We don't have a dog in this fight, as all the other brothers have been saying, right? And we've always been saying, do not get involved in any protests, any political events going on. We're not to be doing that. The Lord did not send us out to go protest against political events. The Lord sent us out to spread the word of the gospel, the news to the Israelites of who we are and what the truth of the Bible is and how the time is coming close. That's what we're supposed to be doing. None of this other stuff about brawling in the streets, antagonizing political groups, going out there to try to gain viewers with more entertaining clickbait. No. This is Acts 5:39. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest haply ye be found even to fight against God. Because you see, what's happening right now is that the Lord is stirring the world up. He's sending fanners to Babylon to fan the flames of hatred and division here. And for you to throw yourself in the middle of these political protests, you're involving yourself, or should I say you're getting in the way of the Lord's plans. And if you do that, and if you try to upset prophecy, then you may be at risk of the judgment. So this is why me, the other Akim, the apostles have always said, do not get involved in politics. Do not get involved in these protests, right? Do not get involved in all these big, massive events. We shouldn't be outside of concerts or outside like the Million Man March or LGB events. We're not to be doing that. We're out supposed to be on the highways and byways on the chief course of commerce, where there's people just going about their day. Supermarkets, plazas, pavilions, and old towns, places where people go and walk and they could hear the word and ask questions. But to go to a protest, you're doing that for yourself. You're not doing that for the Lord. This is Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Nothing about the events that we seen in that video resembled being harmless as doves. Okay, you Akim from WFI in that camp, at least put yourself in harm's way, and you could have got the body in trouble, right? You could have got us blamed, and who knows, you may still be getting us blamed, right? That video is going to go forth, and you got people like Vocab and all these other Christians and other people seeking to tie us to these Arabs. So I just wanted to make this lesson, though, to show the rest of you Akim that we got to be smart about this. We got to basically just continue to keep our eye on the ball and just don't focus on any of these political events. Don't try to make a name for yourself. Just do the work. Stay out of trouble. We got to be, as the apostles say, incog Hebrew, right? We got to be incognito and basically just be out there trying to reach out to our people. We don't have to be showboating and going out there on soapboxes with amplifiers and doing all these antics to get likes and views. The Lord is going to bring those who need to hear this word across your path to hear this. So we got to make sure that we're not involved in things like this. So again, if you're watching WFI, if you are in WFI, hey man, you guys got to start flying right. You guys got to stop doing stuff like this and getting the body in trouble. And ultimately, again, if you're watching these guys, be careful, right? I already said how I feel about them, and I'm not covering the mark of the beast, doing things like that. It seems a little bit agent provocateur if you ask me. But either way, hopefully you enjoyed this lesson. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahawah B'Shem Yahawashi, B'Shem Qadash. Shalom.